NC pork. Good for the plate. Great for the state.
Our next guest played at Florida State from 2008 through 2012. He was briefly a professional basketball player. Then he became an NBA assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings, picking up a couple of NBA championship rings along the way. He FaceTimed earlier today with Steph Curry. He was an intern 9 years ago, and now we get to call him the first-year head coach at Florida State, his alma mater. Luke Loucks, welcome to the North Carolina Sports Network. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, and that was an impressive rundown of my career, life, and day. Getting to FaceTime one of my old players and Steph, and I'm excited to be here. You know, I'd obviously played in this league a long time ago, and I was a very average player on some really good teams. And now to be back as the head coach of Florida State, I'm honored and thrilled to lead our team, hopefully back to an ACC championship.
It's kind of crazy. I didn't mention he's from Clearwater, Florida. He's got relatives who went to Florida State as he did. And again, only 35 years old. I've been covering this league longer than you've been a live coach, and I'm not sure I've ever said that to any other coach in men's basketball. So it's a fun first for me. Your story, however it unfolds, is inspiring for, among other reasons, this. You were an intern 9 years ago. All of us started somewhere before a dream came true. So what would you share about being a paid intern of the Golden State Warriors? You were an amazing young person, but you couldn't have known where you would be 9 years later.
No, I finished up playing professionally, like you said, played in Germany and Belgium and Cyprus, all over Europe, and a little bit in the minor leagues for the Boston Celtics and Orlando Magic, but knew I eventually wanted to coach, and my mother grew up on a farm, and my father grew up on a farm, and all they knew was hard work, and so they said, you want to coach, you got to start at the bottom. So it was my only way into coaching, is an internship or volunteering, and I was so excited, I was thrilled, and we won an NBA championship that year in my first season. So what an incredible experience to start at the bottom and learn everything about coaching, and a lot of great coaches took me under their wing, Mike Brown being one of them, who's still a close friend and mentor to me, but taught me how to coach, taught me how to teach, taught me how to prepare, taught me how to watch film and break down film. All of those things set the foundation for obviously a coaching career that has accelerated pretty quickly. But there's nothing like putting your boots on and working hard and learning. And still to this day, even as a head coach, I learn from my staff every day. And it's a cool part about coaching is you're around a lot of people that are passionate and competitive, and they want their teams to be great. And for me, as long as I'm a head coach or coaching in general, I'm going to try to work hard, and I'm going to try to learn from those around me.
I didn't get to peek at both of your hands, but are there ever occasions where those NBA championship rings come out?
Never. I think I know where they're at. I think they're in a storage box somewhere in the house. Eventually they'll go in my office to display them. Like
Not even there yet.
Like the trophies that they are. I laugh when people wear their rings, and everyone's deserved it. But if the players want to wear them from time to time, that's okay. Or if I need to throw one on for a charity event, maybe. But I could not tell you the last time I put on one of those rings.
Fair enough. Since we happen to be standing in Charlotte, North Carolina during our first visit together in this way, I got to ask, don't disclose any state secrets, but what did you and Steph Curry talk about, since he, of course, is a product of the Charlotte area and Davidson College, et cetera?
Yeah, so one of the questions in one of these rooms, and I had my players with me, was, who's the most famous person in your phone? And so I said it's either Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. And I've coached both of them, and still close with both of them. And so they said, would you mind FaceTiming him? And I'm thinking, like, okay, West Coast, they're probably about to go into practice. Right. I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that he doesn't answer? And I FaceTime, he didn't answer. 5 seconds later, he FaceTimes back. And my players were like shocked. I'm like,
so
yeah,
you won the game.
Yeah, I don't know if I won the game, but it's funny. So we're talking for a second on FaceTime, and we brought up Davidson. Obviously, he's helping out Davidson, and he still cares about it. Still connected with college basketball. And I think we might be playing Davidson at some point now. He's like, let's get a game, Davidson, us, in the Chase Center in San Francisco. So we're going to, Steph and I are going to work on a few things behind the scenes.
Did any of your players or anybody else surprise you with any famous people in their phones, or was it mostly you or staff members?
No, I think that ended the question. We were supposed
over.
to all do it, and
Yeah,
once Steph's on FaceTime, you can't compete with that.
Where do you go from here? All right, so I'm going to try to list a handful of things you've done, given you're new to head coaching,
Sure.
You're back at your alma mater, and I'm going to ask you what I've left out. Okay, this is your last roughly 200 days. Okay. You got hired. You had a press conference. You assembled a staff one by one. You built a mostly new roster with all sorts of fresh faces. You put together the finishing touches on a schedule. You landed some high-profile commitments for 2026. You built out a recruiting board for 2027. Is this the busiest stretch of your life, and did I leave stuff out?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely the least I've ever slept in my life, but also probably the most fun I've ever had. Cool. I love Florida State. I love coaching, and to put my imprint on this team from day one. And all that list says is that I have a great staff, and they've helped me in a multitude of ways, specifically the things that are new to me, the recruiting, the academics, the compliance, the putting a roster together. I know how to coach, and I know how to get the most out of a team, but all those things were brand new. And so to build a staff that could help me in the areas I'm weak in, and from the ground, we built it. Like you said, we have a really, really good recruiting class coming in the following season, 2026, and we're going to keep recruiting our area. Florida and Georgia, I think in the top 100, they have 57 to 60 of the top 100 players just in our region. So wow. Our backyard is a recruiting hotbed, and I've enjoyed the recruiting side. But there's if there's 20 things to do every day, you might get to 11 or 12 of them, and you go to sleep thinking, there's 8 things I didn't get to, and that's every day for the last 6 months. But I'm enjoying it.
That's pretty cool with the recruiting geography. We hear that a lot more often in football, right? Recruiting the Sunshine State or Texas or some other great football state. We don't think about it as much in basketball, but clearly I saw some of your commitments. You're not allowed to specify them by NCAA rules, but right. I'm allowed to know what those things are. Of course. Just trying to remind a first-time head coach, I knew you knew the rules. Right. In what ways would you summarize your 4 years with Leonard Hamilton wearing the Seminoles uniform? Did it reinforce why you wanted to go back and wear that logo as a head coach?
Yeah, 1,000%. I never had coaching in college on my mind. I was in a pretty good situation in the NBA under some great people, but I like I said, I cared deeply about Florida State. I had a great experience playing at Florida State as a player. Went to four straight NCAA tournaments, won the ACC championship, lost another year to Duke in the championship. But we had an incredible run under Coach Hamilton, just a bunch of hardworking guys and some talent. We had some talent, some guys go on playing in the NBA, but we did it together, and that's what I want to build as now the head coach of Florida State. And the reason I'm so passionate, because I experienced it. I know what Florida State can be like when we win in basketball, and it's second to none. We have a lot of great teams in this conference and a lot of history in this conference. Just to be able to compete against those teams and tie your shoes and put on that jersey with the Seminole, it's giving me chills right now, and I don't get to play anymore, And now to put our team and our players through that experience, what I experienced, I cannot wait until that ball gets tipped up and we start playing some of these games.
One way we try to thank our guests for squeezing us into their busy schedules is to surprise them with at least one fun fact that we hope is accurate. So yours is, as a high school quarterback in Clearwater, Florida, you once set the single school record with 423 passing yards before obviously narrowing your focus to basketball. Yeah. True, and what do you remember about that? Was there ever any thought that you'd end up in any line of work other than basketball?
Yeah, that is true. Some in our region would say I was a better football player than basketball player, but I just, guys, I like the air conditioning. It was so hot in Florida. I really, my father was a football player. I enjoy playing football. I had a blast. I would say that game was special because we came from behind and won. And that's what I remember about that game. And our receivers did an unbelievable job making plays after the catch. But I enjoyed playing football. I still enjoy. Florida State, like I enjoy watching Florida. I'm a big Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Cool.
I follow them closely. So football is always going to have a special place in my heart. But to get to experience some level of football and getting recruited a little bit, it was a blast. But I'm glad I chose basketball.
In football, we sometimes get offensive linemen telling us, they're the best looking, they're the smartest, et cetera. I do sense a theme in this league. You're a former guard. John Shire, former guard.
That's right.
Jeff Capel, former guard. Jay Lucas, former guard. Damon Stoudemire, former guard. And I'm leaving some out. Is there something about connecting those who had to see the game a certain way and those becoming head coaches?
Yeah, I think all those guys you mentioned, first of all, were much more talented as players than I was. But there is a level of all of us share a common thread that we were coaches on the floor for our prospective head coaches and a lot of legends, right? We played for a lot of legends, and I think that helps once you get into coaching. This isn't the preparation is different. Watching the film, strategizing the tactics. But ultimately, you stand in front of a group and you're comfortable leading. And I think that's the most important common thread between all those guys. A lot of talented players that became really good coaches because there was a comfort level of standing in front of a group, of holding guys accountable, of being a good teammate and team player. And I think that goes into coaching. And there's a lot of parallels between lead guards and now head coaches. Even some of the guys we played for, Coach Hamilton was a player, Coach K was a player. There's a lot of good players. Bobby Knight, Hubert, yeah, there's a lot of good players that turn into great coaches because there's a comfort level leading their guys.
Congrats on the recruiting success, long-term and otherwise. Best wishes in year one, and thank you for this first visit on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Thanks so much.